Welcome to Let's Talk About Gay Stuff. Woo! We're the podcast where we talk about gay stuff and discuss the week in LGBT plus history. Today we have another special edition episode of Let's Talk About Gay Stuff, Quiz Show Edition. Woo! Yay! Woo. It's where we invite our friends to the Kiki, and of course, by joining us to the Quiz Show Edition, they don't just get to Kiki, they have to earn their gay card by scoring the most points after 2 rounds of questions. About what else? Gay stuff. All right, so before we welcome our guest, Tom Jackobs here. Tony, you will be sitting in the hot seat again. I think you got to defend your title. Be nice, though, on our guest, because last time you beat Tammy, and she wants a rematch. So,
but I think she did know more about the podcast than I did. I think I knew the other questions.
Yeah. Which will probably be the case
just add
this
since
time.
I participate in the podcast.
Right. You also drink during the, so you forget. Yeah, that happens. So, Tony, hello. How are you today?
Great. Great to be here.
Other co-host, Kendall, how are you doing today?
Wonderful.
Wonderful. And filling in for Tony since he's in the hot seat, we'll be participating. We're going to have Spencer join us as the scorekeeper, timekeeper, and commercial personality. Dope.
Welcome, Spencer. Welcome to work.
How you doing, Spencer? By the way, Spencer, you made a wonderful brunch this afternoon.
Yes.
What did we have? We had
Pinwheels, mini quiche,
fruit. And mimosas. So I did the mimosas, so it's good.
Very well done.
Yeah, thanks. All right, so let's say hello to our guest. Tom, how are you today? Tom's joining us from the HRC, Human Rights Campaign, the Houston chapter. So, Tom, how are you? Tell us about yourself.
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me over. I'm Tom Jackobs. For my day job, I guess you could call it that. I call myself the impact pilot, so I help speakers speak better, create their presentations into performances so that they can make more profits, and that's what I do on during the day. And then in the evening, I volunteer for different things. One of the big things that I volunteer for is HRC, Human Rights Campaign, which is the largest LGBTQ advocacy group in the nation. So.
Very good. They do some good stuff. You do some good stuff as well, having attended your presentation and just, I would consider you a mentor of sorts as an entrepreneur, and then kind of watching what you do as in terms of helping business owners be able to better tell their stories. I've taken many tips and tried to apply them, not as well as you do, but I try my best. All right, so you guys ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so in the first round, you'll answer questions about some topical LGBT-related issues. In the second round, we'll quiz you on the latest episode of the podcast, so the one that was released today, October the 13th, covering the week of October the 13th through October the 19th. So you guys ready for that? So that's the one recorded in New Orleans. Tony remembers nothing about that.
You did listen to it?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gave him a preview. So
Oh, okay. Because I was like, wait, if it was released today.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We're probably on an even playing field now if you only listen to half.
And you participated in it.
Yeah.
So perfect. Yeah.
I don't
Well, it was in New Orleans. So.
I don't know if you do know this, but I do have Alzheimer's, so I forget a lot. So.
Early onset.
We've talked
Early
about it on the
onset.
quiz show. Yeah.
Can you have your commercial? Yeah, right.
Was that the Rawhide episode?
That was the after hours.
Okay.
All right, so let's review the rules of round one first. So this round will consist of 6 questions. You'll each be asked 3 questions, and we'll alternate the questions between the two of you. For the question you are asked, you'll have 10 seconds to answer it correctly. If you answer it before the 10 seconds, you'll earn 3 points. If you earn it at the 10 seconds, you can earn 2 points. And if you don't have an answer or answer it incorrectly, the other person can steal, and they can earn 1 point. All right, got it?
Sure.
All right, Tom, since
All you have to do is just answer if you know, and that's it.
you're
Spencer will do all
so
this
many
complicated
rules.
stuff.
You're our guest.
That's why I messed up the scoring so much.
That's
Thank
why.
you.
He's an engineer and finance guy, and
I sometimes mess up the scoring. I'm the scorekeeper.
Arthur Anderson.
right. This
Enron.
this is why we have him as a guest.
Yeah.
And he can't even answer the questions correctly. All right, so Tom, you're gonna have a chance to choose the categories. So the categories are politicians or legislation. So
Oh, there's only 2
yeah,
categories? Oh,
yeah, one of the two.
Sports, please. No. Politicians for
Yep,
200.
right,
please.
and the theme being, you're with the HRC,
yeah,
and so
yeah.
get government like sort of stuff. Tony's well versed in this stuff too.
Oh,
That's why I
really?
felt
I enjoy
comfortable.
politics.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why I feel comfortable picking him. So we'll this should be good category here. All right. So what category are we in right now? You said politicians.
Politicians.
All right. So again, we'll start with you, Tom. Question number 1. This president appointed Roberta Attenberg as HUD secretary, in which she was the first LGBT person appointed to a cabinet level position. So the president that appointed Roberta Attenberg.
Ford.
That is incorrect.
Bill Clinton.
That is correct.
Ooh, that was a guess, but I was like,
I was like, how far back did I
I'd
want
rather be lucky than good anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. Tony's not letting up on the gas. He's coming in for the steal. At the point there. All right. Question number 2. This Massachusetts House of Representative member was the first member of Congress to voluntarily come out.
Barney Frank.
That is correct.
Wow.
All right. Yeah, that's why he doesn't have a boyfriend. He's reading books. He's single, everybody.
Exactly.
Here's why. He's super smart, though.
You
Has a good job.
You seen the Golden Girls?
Yeah.
I'm Dorothy.
Okay, door.
Book every Saturday. Yep.
All right. Question number 3. Tom, here you go. Okay. This Michigan college town is known to have the first openly gay person elected to public office.
Ann Arbor.
That is correct. Woo. Now, did you know it, or did I?
That was a guess. There's only 2.
Yeah, yeah.
It was Lansing or Ann Arbor.
Yeah, so I figured I would throw that nugget for anyone.
Thank you.
It's an obscure thing. We're also trying to educate with the questions, so I figured if I could throw that out.
So who was it?
I know you're going to ask that question.
I thought of it, but then I
was
thought,
like,
well.
and I'm drawing a blank on her name. I don't have it written down, so you're
Why
going to
gotta be
forgive me.
like that?
Something our listeners can go look up.
Look up. That's what Uncle Google's for.
Yes, we'll eventually do an episode on her. It was a guy and a woman. It was a woman and a man in the 70s. So I know that, but I'm drawing a blank on their name. Yeah. All right. Question 4. Over to you. Where are we at with the score, Spence?
Tony 4, Tom 3.
All right.
Ooh.
Here we go. Question number 4.
Yes.
Kirsten Sinema is the first openly bisexual senator elected to Congress and is from what state?
Arizona.
That is correct.
I knew that one, too.
There we go. All right. Well, maybe you'll know this. Another first.
Okay.
All right. Question 5. Last question of the round for you, Tom.
Okay.
The first out person elected to Congress was... She was out elected to Congress.
I have no idea. Harvey Milk.
That is incorrect, but a good guess.
Tammy Baldwin?
That is correct.
Oh, wow.
Tammy Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
From Wisconsin.
That was a guess, but yeah.
Yeah.
Wisconsin?
Minnesota?
Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay.
So give him the point.
All right. Last question. Tony, here you go. When Jared Polis was elected governor of this state, he became the first openly gay elected governor in the U.S.
What is Colorado?
That is correct.
All right. What is Colorado?
All right. So there we go.
Alex Trebek's going to sue us.
All right. We got a little dog.
And he's back
She's
on,
going around.
too.
He is back.
Yeah,
yes.
he had cancer.
All right. Yes, Alex, I can only strive to one day be like Alex. But I'm glad he's doing well. Yes. All right. So before we go into our kiki, we've got our score at the end of round 1 is
Tony 11, Tom 3.
11-3. That's okay. I think you can come back in the second round.
Really? You think so?
And I think you can save yourself with the kiki. We may give you bonus points with in this next kiki section. All right. So before we do that, a word from our sponsors, if you will, Spencer.
Hey, are you a small business owner trying to do it all? Take marketing, for example. Nowadays, your business has to have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn account. Who has the time to take pictures, write posts, and get them all posted online, let alone like, comment, share, and respond to followers? Don't worry. Economy Works is here to help. Let the Economy Works Talent Network help you by doing marketing so you can grow your business. Economy Works. When we work, the economy works. Economy Works. Find out more at economyworks.com. That's ECONOMIWORKS.com.
For what it's worth, I think the spelling out of Economy Works has helped because now I actually have people paying attention. So that's nice. Before no one
It's
followed,
like
so.
economy.
Well, thanks, Spin Turn.
Oh, I like
Spin
that.
Audio engineer.
I like that.
Spin turn?
The Spin Turn.
Spencer.
Well, Tom Jacobs, thank you for coming and agreeing to beat Tony in this game. I have full faith in you this
You think
second
so?
round that
Okay.
you're going to whip him.
Ooh, all right.
So you are with HRC. First of all, we were talking about this earlier. I don't think most people know what HRC, many gay people included, don't know what HRC does, what it stands for. So tell us.
Yeah, so it's the largest LGBTQ advocacy group in the nation, and there's a couple areas that people really don't understand about HRC. So there's HRC, the political work that HRC does, and then there's also the HRC Foundation, which is a lot of the nonprofit work that HRC does. And it's the foundation work that a lot of people aren't aware of, which is pretty amazing, the amount of work that they do. So things like Welcoming Schools, which is a program that HRC put together to train teachers on how to talk to parents, how to talk to kids about, maybe they have parents that are LGBTQ, or maybe the kids are LGBTQ, but how to have that conversation in the classroom to make sure everybody feels welcome and participates very nicely. So that's a really cool program. I think a lot of people understand what the HRC's equality index for corporations. So that's where they rank corporations, especially the top 500 Fortune 500 companies, on how they have policies in place to support LGBTQ employees. And then there's another one that just came out, the buyer's guide for the holiday season. So it ranks companies that have retail companies and consumer goods companies and their policies on LGBTQ to make sure that when you're buying products, that you're buying products that are supportive and not discriminatory to the community. Kind of like the whole debate, like, should we go to Chick-fil-A or not?
Yeah.
Gosh, the fries are
We
so
want
good.
to,
We
but-
want, but we can't.
I know.
It's certainly one of those struggles that I went through, at an airport where there's really no good selections, and you're like, oh, I really could use that chicken right now. But even, that maybe some of the franchisees of Chick-fil-A's are very open and inviting, yet the profits, and many of the profits that they generate at a corporate level, go to discriminate against LGBTQ people.
Correct. There's the small town Alexandria, Louisiana, where my parents live. I follow their news station, and they did a story about how in New Orleans, the school principal, someone offered to pay Chick-fil-A for all the employees. The principal was like, we have LGBTQIA employees, and that would be disrespectful to them. So the Facebook comments are, oh my gosh, we can't even eat chicken anymore. And they can't even have fried chicken. But it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
It's
Go to
we're
Popeyes.
giving exactly. Don't ask for a chicken sandwich because they ain't got them.
But he's not bitter about it.
Right. Oh, just get the fingers.
I mean, I waited an hour. They should have them by now. But you've been with HRC for a while, Human Rights Campaign.
Yep.
How have you seen kind of the priorities change as we gain more rights legislatively or through the Supreme Court?
Yeah, so I started donating probably about 20, 25 years ago in school, elementary school.
You're only 26.
Well, it was elementary school when I first came out.
Straight out of the womb.
Yeah, and it's like, Mom, give this $5 to HRC. But in the last 5 years, one of the major priorities was to get marriage equality across the nation. And, we fought and fought and fought and finally got marriage equality. Personal note, right at the same time I was getting divorced, so that was awesome.
You had the right to legally divorce.
I did. And for him to take half. Anyway, but so much focus was on marriage equality. And then once we got it, then everybody was like, okay, I guess we're up. And then the Orange Man got elected, and then everybody came right back in because now the fight is on, and especially in the transgender community. It feels, and this is a big shift for HRC, and there was a lot of criticism from the trans community that HRC was not supportive of the trans movement. And for some respect, that was absolutely true, because we were so focused on marriage equality and don't ask, don't tell, and things like that, that we kind of forgot about our brothers and sisters that are trans. And now that is completely shifted, and now with all the violence that's happening still to our trans brothers and sisters, especially our sisters of color, it's just 19 murders this year alone, and 3 of those in Texas.
Yeah.
We've talked on the podcast before about we're just now in 2019, 2018, last few years, even having these discussions about trans rights and trans issues because we were so focused on what the majority of the LGBT community wanted, the lesbians and gays wanted to get married.
Yep.
So we put all our focus. So I think there is a little bit of, well, we've been having these issues all along. Where were y'all?
Yeah.
And I think HRC specifically has gotten some of that flack.
Oh, yeah. That and that HRC's for a bunch of rich white dudes,
Yeah.
gay white dudes, right? And that's completely changing as well. If you look at the organization, just the employees of the organization, as well as a lot of the volunteers now in the organization, that's completely shifted. The new president, Alfonso David, is African American. You look at some of the initiatives, the D&I and diversity, inclusion, and equality now, or equity and inclusion. The policies that they're putting out and stressing, especially as we recruit more people onto volunteer roles and leadership volunteer roles, we're really looking at some of the underserved communities and how can we get everybody involved in the conversation.
Yep. That's awesome.
So
I'm
we,
glad you mentioned the rich white thing because that was one of the things we were like, oh, we should ask him about the perception that it's a.
Yeah, because, and I mean,
Yeah,
that came from me because, so I've been in Houston about 14 years, and I've always loved politics, and when I moved here, I thought I want to get involved, meet people, so I joined the Young Democrats group, and, you know, there was this perception, and at that time, I think, you know, the Young Democrats are, I have a lot of time, I don't have a lot of money, so they're like, they can't donate, but they'll block walk, they'll do a lot of the legwork. And, you know, so I think that was their mindset. But, you know, their attitude was all HRC does is raise a bunch of money. It's a bunch of rich white gay men getting together. Like, oh, let's all donate this money. But what are they doing, you know? So, so it's interesting that you had said that,
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, that's our economy. And as a nation, I think we need to do a better job of bringing up underserved communities so that they can then have the jobs that help the, you know, and just it's this whole circular effect. And, you know, if you look at the donor levels, the ones that are donating the $50,000 or more are generally the rich white people, you know, which is, you know, we need the money to do the work, right? So it's like this whole circular thing. But I think HRC is definitely stepping up the game in terms of making sure that there's representation from every community in every community, that there's a steering committee in.
we get comments every now and then. People think gay rights are on par with with straight rights. So we get asked every now and then, you've got gay rights, why do you need a gay podcast specifically? So we can get gay married now, we can serve in the military, why do we need HRC still? Mm-hmm. Like, what are the main issues now? We talked about trans rights, but what are some of the main issues now that we're not fighting for those big ones?
I mean, there is a huge one that we're fighting for right now, and that's equality across the nation. In 30-some states, you can still be fired for being gay. You can still be kicked out of your apartment for being gay or LGBTQ. And that's a shame. I mean, the fact that, you know, in Texas, you could get married on Saturday, be fired on Monday, and kicked out of your apartment on Tuesday. And that's not right. And there's no legal recourse that you could take to correct that. And it's the Equality Act, and that's the HRC's really big initiative right now, is to get the Equality Act passed, and it has passed the Congress. And then we need a pro-equality president that won't veto it when we have a pro-equality Senate that will pass it as well and then put it up.
That's why, to me, I feel like a lot of LGBT don't have the luxury of being independents to go back and forth in between parties, because there is a clear, there is one side that's going to pass the equality, and no Republican is.
And it's interesting that you had said, that you raised the question and you had answered that, because a lot of times when I tell my straight friends that, they're like, wait, you can be fired for being gay? It's like, yes. I mean, you're in your bubble of your company has a policy against it, but if you're Joe Schmo working for Population 10 company, you know, so I think a lot of people just take it for granted that, oh, it's 2019 and you can still get fired for being gay.
Yeah. And most people who work for a small business under 50, and that's our economy is, you know, the small business, and small businesses don't have to follow all those rules.
Yep.
Right?
Do you ever get to go to DC as an HRC representative and kind of lobby?
Yeah, so thanks for asking that. Yeah, twice a year, and it's actually open to anybody. So you don't have to be an HRC volunteer or part of the steering committee or even part of anybody can go to Washington with us and it's usually in the spring. It's always in the spring, and then in the fall as well. So in the springtime, we have the Equality Convention that HRC puts on, which is training the volunteers on community engagement, federal club, all the different program areas. And then we also have a lobby day. And I've been doing that. This past September was my 6th lobby day. And it's amazing to go through the Senate, go through the Congress, and talk to our elected officials, or in most of our cases, they're junior staff members that roll their eyes every time they come in, or flirt with us and then say, "Oh, I'm sorry, our boss won't pass that because he's Republican, but I'll see you later at number 9."
Right. On Grindr. Oh, I bet the dings on Grindr are like nonstop on Capitol Hill.
Right.
Do you
Especially
go
all the closeted Republicans.
on the Republican wing, the right wing side? Yeah, definitely. Are you talking to local?
Yeah.
So you specific to Texas?
Yeah, so HRC does an amazing job lining it up. So they will. So this last time we had a meeting with Ted Cruz's office, not Ted Cruz, and that everybody from Texas then was invited to come to this meeting. And then we had little smaller teams based on who our congressional people are. So like we had a meeting at Dan Crenshaw's office because that's my official. And then Sheila Jackson Lee's office, Al Green's office, Lizzie Fletcher's office as well.
Oh, nice.
So which is awesome. She's
Okay, so
amazing.
someone like Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Are they even? Is it a conversation or are they listening?
So this was amazing this year. So they do listen. They absolutely. And the legislative. She was actually pretty high up in the organization. I think she was one of the legislative assistants to him. And she was like, "No, I understand. I get it. And this is what my boss is going to say." And we had a half an hour meeting. It lasted an hour. And I mean, she was just like straight up, like, this is, I get it. But
Did she argue on behalf of his viewpoint?
No, she doesn't have to argue on his viewpoint. It's just, that's how he's going to do. I will tell stories, your stories. And that's really the key, is that we're not going to go there and say, we're not lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Although I did play one on TV once. So. But we're not lawyers. We're not legislative people. We just want to tell our stories and be visible. And the more stories that we tell to more people, the more they're going to recognize that we're just like anybody else.
Yeah.
We have jobs. We pay our taxes. We, people of our society. We deserve the same rights that everybody else does.
And I think that's very important because I read a book about Lawrence v. Texas, and when that was going before the Supreme Court, there were several people that had clerked or whatever for justices that may have been either on the fence or conservative, and they're like, yeah, like Tom and I now have like 2 kids, and so they're like, oh wow, like he was a great, he did a great job for me, and he's gay and he's got kids, and it's like, yeah, they're just going to work raising the kids, they're not. And so there were apparently thousands of these that went to the justices, and I think when you make your story real versus like a concept, it helps.
Yeah, and we show up and tell them our stories, and whether they listen or not, it's just getting that out.
Well, and even the fact that they took the meeting is progress.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, it would have been, first of all, if they did, it would have been all in secrecy. And it would have been, the local papers in their home districts probably would have said they met with radical gay group, and what does that say about our rep?
Yeah. Well, and what was frustrating about this particular time is it was 3 weeks ago when impeachment proceedings started. So we were on the Hill when that was going on. So there was, obviously a lot of the Congress and senators were off doing other things. Distracted, right? And so they weren't even in the office. So I could understand, sending an aide to come and talk to us, except in Dan Crenshaw's office. He was there. He was in the office. talking to somebody else, closed door. He had his 2 dogs there, one of which took a dump out in the hallway
Okay.
which was cute.
But Dan didn't.
Oh, he did not. No,
Okay,
no.
so
He saved it for later.
He didn't pick
The
it
gay
up
bar.
either. He sent one of his girls out to go pick it up.
So Dan's not into scat, we know.
Right.
Breaking news here.
Yeah, but he sent like this little. He must have just graduated baby law school, and it was cute. And he just goes like, okay, yeah. And in 10 minutes we were done with our meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
So I guess, like you said, there is a difference then between people that'll actually allocate time and listen versus, okay, well,
Yeah.
10 minutes by.
And it probably depends on the staff too.
Mhm.
If
It
you
does.
have these every year, there's a lot. The staff gets younger and younger, and they're more open to people outside of probably their. They went to more diverse schools. Hopefully,
You would hope, yeah.
probably experimented in high school,
right.
whatever. And
Or
you hope
still
that
are.
filters up
Yeah.
to the senator or congressperson.
Well, what was really interesting in 2 offices that we were in, surprise, surprise, Sheila Jackson Lee's office, very supportive. We're talking to one of her legislative aides. And one of the bills that we were talking about was one to make prep and the funding for the office visits that you have to do to take prep, to make that available to everybody and create a fund to make that free for everybody. And they were like, the guy was like, oh, we haven't seen this. On it, done. Like
Oh,
co-sponsored,
that's good,
done.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We didn't have a meeting set up with Al Green's office, or we didn't have any constituents from the area. So we just popped in. We have our little book and we're like little folder with all the stuff. And we're telling the person out on the outside, one of the schedulers, and we heard this voice, and are they talking about prep out there? So, yeah. And so like, bring him in here. And we go in, and it's to the chief of staff.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, dude, what is this all about? And so we go through, he's like, all right, we're on it tomorrow, done.
Oh, that's
And it's-
great.
And
yeah.
then, like, Al's actually going to be in the area in the next couple of weeks, and he was like, we want a meeting with the leaders of HRC. And
Wow, which is so different from the 80s, early 90s, when you denied, first of all, that like the Reagan administration, it doesn't exist.
Yep.
We're not going to talk about it.
Right.
They're holding back funding and all that, and now they're screaming from another room. Were they talking about prep in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's good because, even if you have a representative that would be supportive philosophically, if you're not there kind of pounding the pavement and giving them your priority B, right? If other people are in there like, do this, and they're like, okay, well, they're on my case, versus, so it's, even if you have a representative that's supported, it's good that you're doing a lot of legwork.
Yeah. And it was kind of amazing. They're like, oh, we didn't even hear about this. Oh, it's HR bill number, blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, that's not even on our radar. Thanks for bringing that.
Yeah.
There's so
Yeah,
much
yeah,
going
yeah.
on
Yeah,
there
exactly.
that they don't know everything that's going on. And it takes constituents to make that phone call, make the
Yeah.
visit.
Because, like when you said Ted Cruz's person said, okay, I'll give you 30 minutes, and it ended up going an hour. She's got a lot to do, right? And so the fact that she gave an hour of her day, and it's a different topic, but, I saw something several months ago where John Cornyn, he said, I think we cannot deny climate changes here. You can debate what the cause is, but he's like, we have coastal cities flooding all the time. It's time to start like taking action. And so for a Republican to say, let's not debate, but we got to do real things here with infrastructure. So that's, maybe those conversations over the years led up to, so it's a different issue, but
Yeah.
I
He
think-
wouldn't even take a meeting this time. Wouldn't even send a
Okay, yeah.
staffer, which was interesting. Because generally, he's a little bit
Yeah.
more receptive
oh, okay.
than Cruz, and we couldn't get a meeting.
It's good to hear your process, though, because there is a debate amongst groups of if you're working within the system like that, then you must be a traitor or you're, hobnobbing with them or something. They want to see picket signs in the streets. And I think it's a two-pronged. You need to be
need
on
both.
the inside
Yeah.
and outside.
Flies with honey.
Yeah, because
Right.
I do feel like if you're only on the inside and there's no like rioting in the streets, sometimes people don't really get the message. But so I think, but I don't care how much rioting in the streets you do, you still need people that are let's professionally talk about this and
Yeah. If we went in there and started yelling and screaming at her about what Cruz is doing, she would have been like, okay, thanks. Pack it up and leave. And it would have been a 10-minute meeting.
yeah.
Are there different discussions you're having as a Texas, specifically Houston representative, versus what somebody from New York might be? Like, are there issues that are what issues I should say are happening in Texas that are unique to Texas that you're going with that in mind?
Well, I mean, we're going with just our stories and the fact that we don't necessarily have all the representation in Congress and in the Senate that represents our needs and wants. You know, a state like New York or California, they just come back to the happy hour afterwards and like, oh, we had these great meetings.
Yeah.
There was hugs and kisses. We had
They gave us
mimosas.
gifts.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. And we're like, oh yeah, we're at Cruz's office. They gave us Dr. Pepper.
Right. A dog shit on the floor. Dang.
Oh my gosh.
But the issues specific to Texas, are there different ones? No. Okay.
No, because HRC is a national organization.
So they look at it.
So we're gonna when we're on the Hill, we're talking about the national issues, and then when the Texas legislative
okay.
sessions are in order, then people will go to Austin and legislate. We actually have 4 staff members from HRC staff that are here in Texas, that are in one that lives in or 2 that live in Houston, but then are going all over the place. One in Austin, one in Dallas, and it's really important that we have that staff here that kind of coordinates everything, along with all the allied organizations that are out there as well.
Do you ever go to the Austin meetings?
I have not.
I bet it would be so interesting to just to compare them.
Yeah.
You know, your little part-time
Yeah, it's
rural.
like every other year we're gonna like talk
Yeah.
about law.
Yeah, exactly.
Play dress up.
When you do these lobby days, do you get a lot of straight allies that go, or is it mostly gay people?
Yeah, well, mostly gay,
Yeah.
but more and more, even on the steering committee, we have several straight allies.
That's good.
On the steering committee, and at the higher donor levels as well, we'll have a lot of straight allies, especially at the foundation level. So kind of the way that the donor levels are laid out. If you give $5,000 or more per year, that actually becomes a tax deductible donation because it goes to the 501c3, the foundation, and the nonprofit work. So a lot of companies like Exxon and Chevron and Shell and big oils, they will do a 2-for-1 or even a
matching.
1-on-1.
Exxon does not.
They do now.
Oh, did
Or
they?
they're starting to now.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's like a-
They
there was-
do matching, right?
Yeah, I think it was a political organization, so they didn't want to do the matching previously.
Yeah. But when you're giving to the foundation, then it's not a political organization, so it's fully tax deductible. So we'll have a lot of straight allies from some of the big oils that they're giving $2,500 a year, yet they get the full benefits
Yeah.
of being a federal club council member. at
Okay.
that level. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I posed the question was when I first moved here and got into politics, the head of Equality Texas, he was a straight guy. And a lot of people were like, why don't we have a gay person? And he basically said, look, there are doors that I can get into that you can't. Like it or not, it's Texas. And in the Texas legislature, if I knock on a door, they're going to take it, most likely, even given the cause. Whereas if there's a gay person there, they might not.
Yeah.
Certain. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So the donor levels, what are the supposed? Are there? Okay, let's be honest. What are the benefits to donating at different levels, and what are they?
Well, the greatest benefit is that we get equality. So
Within the organization, though.
Yeah, so you have the major donors, so anybody 5,000 or more, and all that money goes directly to the foundation, unless they've told the organization to give it to the political work. And then we have anybody under between 1,200 and 5,000 is at federal club members, and that's like $100 a month up to $486 a month, and all that money goes to the political organization, so the C4 nonprofit, and that really makes up the bulk of the donations that we receive is at the federal club. And so we want more people to spend $100, which is less than a Starbucks a day, to get full equality across the land. I don't think $100 is all that much to ask for, and I think everybody could do that. But the benefits that you get are one, that you're giving to a great organization that supports equality across the nation. And then when we need the money in Texas, and this was another thing that people were like, oh, I'm giving to this national organization, but we have all these issues in Texas.
Yep.
Well, HRC showed up in force for HERO, even though it didn't get passed, but spent millions of dollars in Texas, in Houston specifically, to try to get HERO passed. We have 4 staff members in Texas right now to make sure that none of the hateful bills in the last legislative cycle were passed, and any new bills are getting shot down, and organizing all of that in Texas. So that money does come back to Texas. It still comes back to Houston. And besides that, I mean, you get come to the dinner, you get a discount to the dinner tickets every April 4th. Put that on your calendars. April 4th is the HRC dinner here in Houston. So you get a free ticket if you're a major donor, and you get $100 off your ticket if you're a Federal Club Council member. And then we have little private parties throughout the year as well. So.
And you get an equal sign sticker.
And you get that at a $5
very
level
high.
too.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Well, don't tell them that.
Well, on the lower end of the donation, which is really makes the organization as well, is anybody that's donating $25 up to $99 a year is considered a partner, or $25 to $99 a month. Sorry, and then you get the sticker, or you get a T-shirt at a Pride. Go to a Pride booth, buy a T-shirt for $10, and you become a member, and that boosts our numbers and obviously helps the organization raise funds as well.
You do have a pretty cool online store. My birthday was a couple months ago, and Lori got me HRC everything, like T-shirts, sunglasses. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
This is one of the new
and
T-shirts.
they're really
T-shirt,
soft. Their T-shirts are really soft. Yeah, they're good.
Very, very cool T-shirt. I have a T-shirt. You can't see it. It says "Believe in Yourself," but it says "BU" is in the rainbow colors.
Very
It's
nice. Well, thank you for all the work you do with HRC on our behalf, because it is important. I think it's easy, like we were saying, to forget, oh, I got my marriage now, and now I don't have to really concentrate
one
on
thing
it.
that-
But one president can come in and flip
And
it,
one thing
flip
you
the
had
table over.
mentioned just a minute ago about, we prevented bills from getting passed, because I read something where, politicians, they're perpetually rerunning for office, right? And so they have to appeal to their base. And there was, like when Apple said, we're going to build a big campus in Austin, things like that, they said Abbott, I think it was this year, kind of changed his stance from, like, normally I think he would have been very supportive of like philosophical, like religious based bills or whatever. And he's probably not vocally against them, but he's probably like, I don't want to make this a priority because, he's getting pressure from like Apple and stuff like that. Like, do we want to move there or not? Like Amazon, didn't. And so, so that's progress, right? When it's like we didn't get anything passed, but we prevented or we're changing it. Okay, it doesn't need to be a priority to do these religious-based bills. Maybe we should ease off on that a bit.
Yep. Yeah. The corporations that support HRC are coming out in force.
Yep.
Because they understand
That was a huge game changer once they started
Oh yeah.
saying, we don't want to be part of all this.
Because now it's like they're facing a lot of, okay, it doesn't only, make gay people want to work here. Some straight people are like, well, what if they're anti-gay? Like, what else are they? Do I want to work for that company?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're in consumer goods, then it's a huge buying opportunity.
And Texas is trending purple, and the politicians are seeing that. That's why so many of them are retiring, the Republican ones.
Yeah.
So, and part of that is the work HRC does and lots of other organizations.
Like Gina Ortiz Jones her district is huge. Or she ran 2 years ago and was defeated, but then the person that defeated her, Republican, he's retiring this year.
Will Hurd, I think, yeah. Which is actually one of the nicest Republicans.
Yeah. But she got endorsement from
But what's
HRC.
nice going to get you?
Yeah,
But
right.
anyway. Yeah, exciting things happen in Texas. I still think it's going to be a long time before it actually flips or is a swing state. But I want to hear about your day job.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me. So other than HRC volunteering, Board of Governors work, you do?
Yeah. So I coach public speakers or business owners and coaches that want to do more public speaking to sell their program or their product. So this would be like the higher level of Toastmasters. So if somebody's like, oh, how do I get rid of nerves? I really don't work on that.
Oh, okay.
That's really great work for Toastmasters. What I work on is somebody that's already speaking and wants to take their speaking to the next level and make some
craft
profits.
it and
And then you tell their story in a way that really captivates their audience. And so when they do their teaching, the audience is a lot more engaged in the conversation rather than, you've been to those presentations where it's like death by PowerPoint and they're just droning on behind a podium and all that. So I take people outside the podium onto the stage and create a performance out of their presentation.
Storytelling.
And storytelling,
yeah. Which is an art a lot of people instinctively had, but people used to assume you've either got it or you don't. What you're showing is that it's all learnable.
It's all learned.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a degree in theater, so I think that's where I got a lot of that from, and especially the performance aspect of what I train my speakers on. But yeah, it can be taught.
And
Same
you're
with
coaching
selling.
individual people or
Yeah,
Okay.
individuals. Yeah, one-on-one.
how long have you been doing that?
A year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, or 2 years. Yeah. I owned a fitness center for 9.5 years, and I sold that 2 years ago.
That was in Houston?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that now I travel around the world. I've spent maybe 5 months this year in Houston. In the last 12 months, I should say. And then next year, I'm spending the whole year in the Philippines
Oh my gosh.
and traveling all of Southeast Asia.
Nice.
A full year in the Philippines.
Yeah.
You taught me a term, digital nomad,
Yeah.
which I'd never heard of until today.
I hadn't either.
Which
Yeah.
basically means what?
So digital nomad, there's many different meanings, but my definition of a digital nomad is somebody that is either a remote worker or own their own company, that they can do that anywhere in the world. So, and they move around. So they're not like an expat who's living in Bangkok for the last 10 years. They're not a digital nomad because they're not moving
Yeah.
around so much. I think I'm like a hybrid digital nomad because I'll spend a year like in the Philippines, but I'll be traveling around as well, but just not like 3 months here, 3 months there.
That's exciting to me. I would love to do that. A lot of people, it would terrify them.
Oh yeah.
Do you get the
Yeah.
oh, that's why, but why?
Yeah. But why? Because
Yeah.
I can. That's
A
why.
year?
Well, why not?
So you have a YouTube channel?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I have a YouTube channel and a little docu-series on the digital nomad experience. So if you go to Tom Jacobs, TomJackobs.com/YouTube, and there's a playlist with the digital nomad page.
Is that something you're going to keep up, like even in the Philippines, like add to it?
Maybe.
'Cause
That's a
that'd
good
be
idea.
interesting. I just gave you some more work. Hey.
Hey.
So tell me, if we want to know about your business, is
Yep.
that also TomJacobs.com?
TomJacobs.com.
Jacob as in
JACKOBS.
yeah, don't forget the K.
Jacobs.
And if we want to learn more about HRC, because there are branches probably almost every medium-sized
So there's
major city.
35
Okay.
steering committees across the country.
How do we get involved? How do we find out what we
Yeah.
can do?
HRC.org
Okay.
is the best place. Start by donating, and then go to the store,
Yeah.
pick out your shirt,
Get your sticker, get your
your
pen.
sticker,
They have a great
put it
store.
on
I
your
love
car.
the store, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Well,
Of
thank
course,
you.
it's
Very
gay people
interesting.
designing it.
Yeah. Very interesting discussion. Now
Yeah,
it's time
thank
to do
you.
the dirty work of beating Tony.
Ooh.
Tony's used to being beaten on Sundays. That's his fetish. But no, Tom, thanks for that. That was very interesting. I was excited to have you on because you're a great storyteller and you're doing some really good stuff with HRC. And HRC has been on the forefront, especially the last few weeks. The SCOTUS Supreme Court case about job employment discrimination.
Title VII, yeah.
And so HRC has played kind of a big role in that. So again, thanks for all your work. And I'm glad
you.
we talked about your YouTube channel. I say that because I know you put a lot of work in putting that together. So I want to make sure that you get
Take
the views on
credit
it.
for it,
Yeah.
Subscribe today.
There we go. And you're also on all the social media platforms, right? Your Facebook.
Yeah,
Insta-
Facebook, Insta, and not so much Twitter.
But do you got the Impact Pilot is your
Yeah, Impact Pilot is on Instagram,
Okay.
but Tom Jacobs everywhere else.
Gotcha. Very good. All right. So we are ready to go into round 2. This.
Okay.
All right, and we've got again a score
Arm
of
wrestle?
3-2. 11-3.
11-3,
So Tony's
Tom.
up. Tom, you got some.
What'd you say?
Tom's
I
on
thought
top.
I got 11.
Oh.
Tom's on top.
Tom's on top. All right. Sounds like Tony's date night. That's a big match. All right. So before we get to our final round, well, actually we are in our final round. So let's again. This is 5 questions. You get to chime in. And it's the first person to chime in and answer correctly will earn 2 points. If the first person is incorrect or doesn't answer, the other contestant can steal by answering that question and earn 1 point. All right? So this wouldn't be a podcast if we didn't gay it up a bit. So instead of chiming in with a traditional bell, we've got a pile of noisemakers there, also known as Tony's Toys. And I think we're going to coin that.
What's the
Tony's
buzzing one?
Yeah, that's the one he's sitting on. So
It's the chair.
so we've got buzzing chairs. You didn't know a perk of the podcast. If you're a guest, you get to sit on our vibrating chairs. Just kidding. So you get to pick the Tom. What you want? You want to
fan
thwart the
floor?
flint? Oh, and he can
Wow.
do it. Yes.
First
one to Yes,
come on and actually
yeah.
be able to do it.
This ain't her first rodeo.
Avi, wow.
Bonus points. All
Except
right.
mine says "Come to Daddy."
And
Your personal website.
he's got his website on it and everything.
Exactly.
His Grindr profile.
What is your other website?
Daddy.com.
And you've got. What are you gonna?
Cowbell.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we
I'm
know.
from Montana.
Time for dinner.
It's always snack time with Tony. I don't know why I'm picking on you today, Tony.
I love it. We need the ratings.
All right. We're going to whore you out. Yeah. All right. So the category is let's talk about gay stuff. And these are questions about the podcast. So the first one, again, to chime in on the question, you will get a chance to answer the question. Again, if you get it incorrectly, the other person can make a steal. All right. So question number 1. You ready, Spence? Mm-hmm. All right. In what year did the LGBT community join together for its first massive march to promote equal rights for LGBT people? Tony.
75.
That is incorrect. What year did the LGBT community join together for its first massive march to promote equal rights for LGBT people?
79.
That is correct.
I was thinking 79.
40 years ago.
40 years ago.
All right. This
I should've
question
known
number
that.
2.
I just turned 40.
I was about to say.
I know.
It's your birth year.
Told you
You were
Alzheimer's.
there.
Alzheimer's.
He was
You're in
there.
a stroller.
He was conceived there. All right. Wait a minute. Huh?
Little did my mom know.
Okay, never mind. All right, question 2. This famous director used the actor and drag queen Divine as his muse.
John Waters.
That is correct.
Chicago.
All right. Tom is making the comeback. Question number 3. The actor and drag queen Divine is from what city?
Go.
Chicago.
That is incorrect.
New Orleans.
That is also incorrect.
Oh my God.
Both get it wrong.
You're like really
He was
confident
ready.
about that.
Yeah.
too.
Wow, because we were in.
It was in New Orleans, but we said New Orleans is a city that's comparable to
Good morning.
Reminds me of
America.
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
yeah.
Hairspray.
Yeah. So,
Anyways.
in what city did the LGBT community come together to march for equal rights?
DC.
That is correct. DC. All right. I don't know if we're going to pull it off, Tom, but we're going to ask the last question just
Double
for fun.
points.
All right. Double points. Double points.
I'll give you that. Double points.
All right. John Waters and Divine paired for many films, including this famous one, which was released in 1988 and starred Ricky Lake. Tom.
Hairspray.
Hairspray is correct. All right.
I'm glad it was like John
I
Waters.
almost
stuff.
answered
That's
before the
awesome.
end of the question, but I was like, oh, if there's one thing that makes it not hairspray, I gotta, yeah.
So we're giving them double points for that.
Yes.
All right. But that takes our final score to
Ty.
Tony Wynn at 13.
Tony.
Oh!
Tom 10, Tony 13.
Good
So
comeback,
close. Way to come back, though.
That
Tom.
was,
Good
my
job,
God,
good job.
wow.
And
I was
Tony,
impressed.
way to represent the podcast.
I know.
You're
That's the thing. Every time I do this,
2-0.
I perform very poorly on the podcast questions, which I'm a part of.
But good on the political
Yes.
ones.
Yes.
Awesome.
So if it weren't for the first round, he would do terribly. So
Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much for that. What a game! Again, sorry, Tom, you couldn't pull it off, but thank you for you know
close. I
coming
loved
coming
Good.
coming strong and making it a game at the end. All right. So before we close out, though, another word from our sponsor, Spence.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Economy Works, a freelance talent network that connects professionals with project work. If you're a company that needs help with writing job descriptions, conducting market analysis, managing your social media platforms, Economy Works has an extensive talent network of freelance professionals ready to help you do more with less. Economy Works. When we work, the economy works. Oh, wow. Find out more at economyworks.com. That's ECONOMIWORKS.com.
He doesn't have a degree in drama, but he brings plenty of drama to us. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
So he's bringing it. Tony has been trying to work himself out of doing the commercials because normally he does them.
You see why.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if you've ever listened to a quiz show episode, but I'm all very monotone. Yeah, I'm
got
an
it.
engineer. I'm a banker. Like,
except that's not a
guys,
qualifications that allows
did
him to
you
keep
know the
score.
economy?
All right. So thank you to Economy Works and thank you, Tony, for stepping in. But most importantly, thank you, Tom, for joining us today and talking
Yeah,
again
well,
about
thank you.
HRC
This was fun.
and about what you do. So
Thanks for the mimosas. too.
yeah, for sure. And again, you can follow Tom at tomjacobs.com. Again, he's on all the social media platforms. And HRC, get involved in the HRC. You can find HRC at hrc.org. There's a So Houston, the HRC Houston has a website and social media presence as well. So hrchouston.org, and you can find them on Facebook and Twitter at HRC Houston. So follow along. HRC Houston even has a Snapchat, so they're so woke that.
Wow.
Does Snapchat really a thing anymore? No.
Yeah.
The Jenner. Kylie Jenner smashed
Oh, really?
it. Yeah.
She said no more?
She said no more.
Oh.
So, all right. So they're so woke.
Good thing I'm not on it.
Right.
What she does,
Right.
the world follows.
I was only on it for pictures, but
There we go.
Right. Leave no evidence.
The quick.
delete in 24.
There we go. All right. So thank you again, Tom. Thank
Thank
you
you.
to my co-host, Tony. Thank you for joining us as a
Loved
guest.
it.
Way to win it. Kendall, thank you.
Kiki.
Spencer, thank you for stepping in at the last minute and being adaptive, even though I didn't tell you. Tom, any last words before we?
Thank you.
All right. Well, again, we hope you enjoyed another
This
special.
is so much fun.
Good. Hope you enjoyed another special episode of Let's Talk About Gay Stuff, the quiz show edition. Be sure to follow us on the web at letstalkaboutgaystuff.com, on Facebook and Instagram at Let's Talk About Gay Stuff, and on Twitter at Talk Gay Stuff. Subscribe and download our podcast where you listen to your podcast, and we'd love to hear what you think. So leave us a review. Someone left us a review on Facebook, which was pretty interesting. So if anyone wants some giggles, some very described as formerly gay.
Did you read his whole review and check out his
Conversion?
profile?
Like
Yeah.
conversion therapy? Like,
He was a gay, and then he's now a reborn Christian and renounces all homosexuality. So he left us a long
Huge, yeah.
diatribe review. So
is he on Grindr too?
I think so. Yeah, probably on Craigslist. Yeah. So for another episode of Let's Talk About Gay Stuff, we're here.
We're queer.
Get used to it.